Good evening, welcome to The Sacred Journey. The Sacred Journey is the program that reminds you that life is a wonderful adventure and each and every experience we have is a unique and perfect opportunity for learning. I'm Joyce St. Germaine and you are invited to this special circle. You'll learn more about it as the show goes on, and please watch for us next week because we'll be doing a second part of this. I am so pleased to have my dear friend Dr. Bear Walker from the Circle of Health, and I have been practicing a pronunciation that I apologize that I may not do justice. The title of this show is Insights and Experiences of Oceti Sakowin. Okay, I got a thumbs up, so thank you. I'm going to turn you over to Dr. Bear Walker. You may recognize him from shows past, and he will introduce some very, very special guests that we have, and I'll be joining you next week for part 2.
Joyce, thank you so very much. How wonderful to be here and to share. It truly is, an honor, and I'm blessed, and I know each one of you wonderful, beautiful people, your eyes, your energy, your feeling. So I'm here to share with you how this circle started, and all things for me, as you've heard me, work with teachings and stuff, is about how the circle goes with the circle ways. So I was working in New York, seeing a wonderful man who's done a number of projects to help fund and to heal water around the world, and he told me about what had happened with one of his colleagues out at Standing Rock. And so I met this young lady, Christina, and indeed she had been at Standing Rock for a pretty good amount of time, and she was absolutely toxic. Her lungs, her liver, her kidney, with all the different things she had breathed in during her time there. And so by getting to know her, I got a hold of the person that she said I should really speak to about this was Johnny. And so I spoke to Johnny. We've had many wonderful conversations on the phone. And I said, listen, Johnny, I'm more than happy to come and see what I can do to help the people who've been through this terrible time and the exposures that they had, chemicals and everything. So I went out and got to meet Johnny, which was an incredible honor, not only from the standpoint of being able to help the people there that I could meet with medicine, but also to meet a true brother. And so what an honor to ride with him, to walk with him, to talk, laugh, play. And we learned, I learned many things just in being together. I grew up in a whole different way. I am a Anishinaabe. I grew up literally in the forest of Canada. And I realized we grew up in different ways, but we have very kindred hearts. And I started to go with him in his vehicle from place to place. We went to a number of different reservations. I think we went to a total of 5 or 6. But it kind of all went to go together because I started to meet these amazing people. These people who stood for they stood for what Spirit had told them to do, as far as protecting the land and protecting the water. And I met elders. I met elders like dear Ben. We sat together over his table and we talked, and I listened to what he'd been through. And we did this. Johnny took me from place to place so that we could go and I could learn and listen to the people and listen to what they'd been through and try to give them some things, some medicine, some ways that we could help them for what they had been through. And it was wonderful to see how much Johnny cared about all these people all across this whole great, huge expanse. South Dakota and North Dakota, 7 different reservations, and we really went along. We were driving hours and hours and hours, working till late at night sometimes to do this. And I left there with a heart of, pain in a lot of ways. First of all, how could any human being do this to anybody else on earth? That was already very heavy. But also, to see that there's no one there to help support or to try to help them through what they had gone through. So they did what they called a particular camp through the INITC, and he asked if I would come back and spend time with him. And I went and we spent a time in this beautiful camp just north of Bismarck. And Johnny brought about teachings for all the people there in a most powerful but humble way of trying to show them literally a different way of thinking, a different way of understanding. I think sometimes we don't even realize the amount of lies, incorrect stories, bad stories, whatever you want to say, that are in people's minds. And he brought them together in a way that they could start to heal their spirit, retrieve their stories, and lift themselves back up. And so it was an honor to serve with him. It's my intention to go back as many possible times as I can. It's my intention to help my brothers and sisters there in every way that I can, with medicine, with help, with healing. And the reason we're together in circle today is I love every one of you. And I know, I can count on you to help. So from my heart to yours, Quetch, thank you. And I want Johnny and Ben to explain their ways of the beautiful Lukosu way. Right.
Do we have to wait for anything?
No, we're going to edit that right out.
Oh.
Take two.
Thanks. I always call him Doc, but none of you guys call him Doc. It's natural. So the first time he came,
They have a lot of other names.
we asked him to come back to a small gathering we were having since Sakowin camp, which is the place that was near to Standing Rock that a lot of people heard about. Some people supported directly, some indirectly, some came, some from afar. And since he came out and spent time, he got to see that there are lots of things that constantly bring us together, but I'm reminded that those are the things that we choose, that we always have an opportunity to choose. And so I guess I just would start by saying that I'm thankful to have the opportunity to meet all of you for the first time. I think it started for me with Bear because I put together a small group for no purpose other than to make a good space inside Sakowin camp that's centered around what it means to be a human being, what it means to look after each other, what it means to look after our home, and what it means to think about how to do that in a good way. There's a lot of other language people use for that, including me sometimes, but it really comes down to that. So about how we work together and not just what. And I appreciate his coming back out so we could look at the things that have happened since then. And as the title given for the show is Insights and Experiences of Sakowin camp, what happened that we learned about when we were there and the things that have been going on since then. We just came to visit. It's not anything more than that, so I know to do it in the best way. So I'm glad to see lots of faces looking at me like I'm going to say something profound. I probably won't.
That's good. Reduced expectations.
I know we said we'd get a chance to introduce ourselves, and so as he started, my way it goes around in a circle. And I can tell you that the way we did it every day there, at least every day that I was there, which was a long time, we did that. We went around in the circle so everyone could just introduce themselves and say hello, and then we can visit. So I'll stop and leave it to Elder Ben.
Good evening. Good evening. Honored to see all of you here today as in a circle. And we all have something special. We know we have a talent that we could all come together and help each other and make it working together as brothers and sisters. That's what my ancestors talked about a lot. When we come together, we bring a lot of happiness, a lot of energy, a lot of things that we could share together, that we would be able to. And again, I'm Ben. I'm Oceti Lakota from the Cheyenne River Reservation, and I'm the oldest of three of us, three siblings. And wasn't really into anything because I was addicted. I was an addicted person for a long time. Finally, then one day, I always remember one day I was walking back, and I don't remember that night before, but I was walking back and somebody looked like somebody was walking behind me, and I looked back, but there was nobody. And about the third time, seemed like it got closer, and he said, think about it, Yukchayo. Kept saying, Yukchayo, think about it. And I didn't really understand it till later on that what the Spirit was telling me was think about yourself, take care of yourself. So I started, really taking it seriously, and that brought me this far. Be able to work with everybody, my relatives. You're all my relatives. We
Right.
come together,
Oh.
my relatives, and so I got to be part of the clan, and I was always part of the clan, but I never really realized it till that day. And I learned. I went back to school, and I took some courses to help people, and from there I learned a lot from, like I said, from other people. And I was able to be proud of myself, accept myself unconditionally, and everything that, and it took me a long ways. At first, I was in law enforcement, and I was in the court system, and I did a lot of work pertaining to that. And then I was elected for a 4-year term on the tribal council, and I did a lot of work with people. I'm not a politician. I really had a hard time trying to pick one side or try to pull each other. But I'm always a common man. I feel like we're all equal.
Oh.
And sometimes I get into it with my colleagues. They don't believe that way, but I stood my ground a lot of times. Things that we talked about or discussed, we always put our people first. Whatever, so in that ways, I was part of, some activity that I never thought I'd be sitting here with all of you beautiful people, and going to the Peta Sakowin camp. I always say Peta means a fire camp, and as a representative, I go whenever I can, because on a reservation there's always something going on, meetings and gatherings, and I didn't have to be there, but I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there to hear what they want, what we could do together. And so every I think about two times a week I went there, and every time I learned something. That's, I was going to share a song about that. We all come from different directions, and again, like I'm saying, each and every one of us have brought something together when we come together. And one of the things that I seen at the camp was very peaceful. I know there was a lot of tension lot of things that that I feel, but you know, I always say that I have no control over it, but I could be able to stand with everybody, you know. So it taught me a lot of things about myself and what I could do, what I could talk about in our reservations. Like we Sue here talked about a lot of the working together, or you know, put a group together where we could start from a small circle to expand to a place where we could call it a peaceful place instead of, you know, feeling that. And I got I always interested in that great like that, but when we soon talked about it, I met we soon at the camp or before, and I like his guitar music. And first time he came to our home, and he brought a guitar in and opened it up and sat down and he started playing songs, playing that music. It took me back when I was young. Took me back to when I was young, till the day I was sitting there. All the old music, not old, but the music that I grew up with. Sometimes sitting there listening to it. Spiritual, it made me calm. Different positive things, thinking that and so I always, till then, till the camp, it will never stop. But actually the camp people went back. Ever since then, we're trying to do something about excuse me, to make each other strong, because we're gonna excuse me, we're gonna deal with that. I don't know how long. All the time I lived, probably we were fighting for our rights, water rights or whatever, and a lot of rights that were been taken away from us as Lakota. Slowly it was getting to the point where, you know, the first time was that when they took our cultural language and everything that we were born with, they took those away from us. We were forced to not, you know, do things that we weren't used to. Like for me, I didn't really learn English till I was fluent English till I was 10 years old. I never knew how to speak English till I was. First time I heard English being spoken was when I was about 6 years old. Before that, the whole family, we all talked Lakota to each other all the time. And after growing up, I learned that talking to each other like that, we have that spiritual sharing. No, there was no, I can't remember if there's a cuss word in our language until later on when somebody created one. But so I've been very interested, and I travel. I went with Misu here in different places. Every time I go someplace, I could see and hear and feel everything that we need to continue. I always call it day by day, one day at a time. And so, you know, I'm not much of a speaker. You know, and I just, like I said shared the other night, at the time I still have a little bit of, can't say, that I have to, some of the words I said that I don't quite understand. I have to go back to my Lakota language and get that definition or whatever and bring it back and then start from there. And a lot of times when I was younger, they all claimed that I had learning disorder. But people, my generation of people my age, we are like that. We still have to have take our time to answer whatever was asked. And so sometimes I forgot to say, bear with me. So.
And he is.
Yeah. He comes up with all kind of shit like that. That's crazy. Yeah. Funny.
So, again, every day when I lay down, when I finish my day, I always say, thank you. Thank you for guiding me and protecting me. Means thank you for everything, my people. And so I share that song.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to.
And I think maybe that's what I was saying. We just came to visit, to share some stories, to share some songs, and to share some of the things we've been thinking about and experiences as we've been traveling around since the camp.
I don't think my brother brought the cards. He's supposed to show me the cards if I remember forget something. The song is about the 4 directions. What 4 direction means, each direction means something. And it represents the seasons, 4 seasons. And it represents the different directions, like west is like the moon, the sunset goes down, and then north is the winter, the winter that comes to us, and then east is like to me, I always think as a spring when the sun comes out bright and everything is growing. And the south is like